And we are live, Rooster Boosters. Welcome back to Rooster Booster Time. It's Tuesday. It's 7:03. You know where me and Mike are, and we have a great guest today. I'm very excited to introduce him. Andrew Coe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. What
Appreciate
else
it.
is there to do Tuesday night in New York City?
I mean, I feel like if you went clubbing, Marty wouldn't be too happy about that.
Oh, no, definitely
not. But yeah, no, we appreciate you taking the time out. We know, personal time's a little scarce sometimes during the season, so we definitely appreciate it. And we're just here to talk rugby, talk about you, and go from there. Let me give the fans a little bit of your CV here, and this is always courtesy when I give you guys stats of our buddy Doug Coyle at DJ Coyle Rugby. When you're at home matches, Doug's usually sitting with me. Come say hi to Doug and just let him know how great of a job he does when he does these player profiles and does his stuff.
He probably knows more about me than I do. So
he actually had a question for me because he wasn't sure of a number, but we'll get into that later.
Okay.
Andrew Coe, Canadian international, 15s and 7s, and an Olympian representing Team Canada. That's just honestly from a guy who started his sports playing hockey, being on Team USA for the Olympics was always one of those things like you dream about the cup and you dream about Team USA. Comes from British Columbia, currently living in Ontario. Graduated from University of British Columbia, where he was playing for the Thunderbirds, winning the Canadian Men's University Championship. Canada under-18s, under-20s captain. Helped the under-20s win silver at the World Rugby Trophy competition in Lisbon, Portugal. Major national senior team debut against Georgia, which is always a tough play, I think. And there's Jason Zimmerman, Rooney's #1 fan, saying, welcome, Andrew. Playing Georgia, for some reason, I feel like Georgia produces people on their rugby team that are just like brick walls. Like the back, forward, doesn't matter. They're big, they're broad, and they play hard. So I can only imagine that being my first, that being your first senior test match. Like, was it a little daunting? Yeah. Like when you saw guys, I'm sure they have a ton of facial hair and,
Yeah, thankfully it was in Canada. It was in Calgary. It was in the middle of summer, but for some reason it decided to snow during our game. So
really?
That's Canada for you. Yeah, but a couple months later, we actually played Georgia in Georgia. And that's the real test. You have 40,000 Georgian fans all screaming God knows what at you. I think smoking is allowed in the building, so every time you go for a breath, you just get a bunch of smoke. Just inhaling smoke.
That's like, think about that. Like, okay, so you went and as an Olympian in a technically 2020 Olympian playing in 2021, the going from playing Georgia in Georgia where you can smell the cigarette smoke to almost an isolated bubble in the Olympics. Yeah. I mean, that's two bizarre opposites. It's funny. I think out of all the people I've interviewed in rugby, I think the only person who's had a worse, I wouldn't say worse, but the hardest first test match is McKenna Strong. I think her first test match was against the Black Ferns. So, like if you're going to start, you're going to start against a New Zealand team. By the way, it's your first cap and we're playing New Zealand. That's a tough one. But yeah,
good luck with that.
Tell us a little bit about your Olympic experience. Obviously you don't have anything to compare it to from previous Olympics, but just was it as fun as like the TikTok rugby players made it out to be, or how was
it? Yeah, I mean, it's weird for sure, and even looking back on it, it's kind of weird to think about because you train so hard for so long, all for this one competition, and you kind of expect it to be a certain way. You expect to, really try and enjoy the moment. I expected my friends and family to all come out. I wanted to go watch other matches. I wanted to go enjoy Japan. I wanted to, see a bunch of different sports. I wanted to go mingle with all the different sports athletes, but none of that was allowed. Once the team was named in June, I believe, they decided not to go directly to Japan. So we didn't have a pre-camp at all. We decided to get climatized in BC. So we only showed up 3 days before our event. And then our event was 3 days, the tournament was 3 days, and then they kick you out of the village and you have to go home the following day. So I was the greatest moment of my life, the peak of my rugby career thus far. It lasted about 7 days in Japan, and that's what I'm hanging my hat on.
Now, I think the men might have had, I don't know if the men were, I forgot, can't remember if it was the men or the women that couldn't make it to the opening ceremonies because the matches were either the day of or the day before. I forget how it worked out.
Yeah, we flew in the day of the opening ceremonies, and for us, we really wanted to go because Nate Kiriyama was the Canadian flag bearer.
Yeah.
So we were all stoked because we thought we would be able to go and experience that moment with him. But unfortunately, flights didn't work out. Nate had to fly a day before so that he could make it, and we flew in. I think we got into the village as like we had to run through the village to find a TV screen to see Canada come through. And yeah, the moms of all the players were not too happy. There were a couple emails being sent to Rugby Canada because that was a Rugby Canada rule on deciding when we go. And yeah, the moms stood up for us to try and get us there earlier, but it just didn't work out.
Hey, don't mess with any rugby mom, especially Canadian rugby mom. But
I
mean, I think one of the good things that happened because you couldn't mingle as much, I would say, is you had things like Alona Mar and all these TikTok, Nia Tapper from Team USA also was starting to blow up, and still now, a year later and into a Winter Olympics at this point, it's women's rugby on TikTok. If you guys aren't looking at it, is bigger than men's rugby on TikTok right now. It's actually crazy. But I think that's one of the best things to come out of it was to push the women's game, was to get sevens out there. And as Andrew knows, if you can get somebody excited in sevens, naturally they're going to move to 15s. So I don't think it's as, while it might be bad personally, I think for rugby itself it was overall a good experience.
Yeah, I'm a big believer that rugby is rugby at the end of the day, whether you're playing sevens or 15s or even league. I'm huge fan of all of them. So if it gets another player out there, then I'm happy. But yeah, TikTok in the Athletes Village was wild. I wish I were on it because it seemed like that's what that was the big thing to do. You have Alona and Cody Malfi, who was
Cody was
yeah, TikTok. I don't know what the terms are. I'm still not on TikTok, but TikToking around, and it's great. It's just to get exposure to the game. So hopefully, I don't think I'd go on TikTok, but hopefully, they promote it a bit more. And I know a couple sevens guys on the Canadian team, and Jake Teal and Phil Berna, who are trying to get their name out there as well.
I follow them
TikTok world.
I follow them on TikTok. So if you want to follow Andrew on social media, definitely follow his Instagram. For those of you that don't know, he's a super foodie. So he tells you where he's going. He tells you what he's eating. He takes pictures. So here's the thing. They just put out a little this or that on the Rugby New York social media, and controversially, you picked pizza over a bagel. I think. Explain your choice.
I did. So I've heard tons about New York bagels, and I had my first one on Monday, and they filmed that before I had my first bagel. So I might have to change my mind. But the pizza, New York's known for their pizza. And I've had a couple of slices at a couple different places, and it hasn't disappointed so far.
Yeah, I mean, and Mike knows too. Patsy's, John's, Joe's. Go out to Brooklyn. I've told you when you get that week off, go up to the Bronx, go to Arthur Avenue. Tons of good Italian food and pizza up there. So it's good to see. It's great to see guys who are posting stuff during practice. But I always love to see when the New York players are posting things they're doing outside of rugby. I love to see their interest.
Yeah.
For those of you that don't know, we had Chance does puppy portraits, portraits of your animals, your cats, your dogs, whatever. I'm sure if you had a snake, he'll draw the snake. I'm pretty sure he drew the snake for ATL, as a matter of fact. But he does those. They're realistic. If you want some, go hit up Chance on social media. For a small fee, he'll do them. He's going to do my two dogs soon. Very excited. Sorry, I'm like hijacking the show and putting people out there. So Mikey, ask a question, Mikey. Ask a question.
So, we talked about, Olympic sevens player, started 15s back, so 15s, sevens, 15s. How has the transition been between, the two codes? Has it been easy? I understand, up here, everyone does it every summer where you play summer sevens, but we're all fat. So it's really, how much of a difference? But when you're in shape and you have speed, there's definitely a difference between the games.
Yeah, I mean, skills wise, it's all like rugby's rugby. It's all the same thing. Being able to pass doesn't change across sevens and 15s. It's more mentally. I find decision making, in sevens, 3-meter gap is not a gap.
Yeah.
You're looking for 15 meters at least. But in 15s, sometimes that 3-meter gap is what you need to sort of break the line. So there's little cues here and there that, I'm trying to adapt to. It was nice getting a preseason hit out against Austin, and it's been good going out and training every day and starting to get the feel for the 15s game a bit more. But sevens and 15s, it's skills are skills at the end of the day.
Absolutely. And it's funny because I noticed Rooney this season has taken a lot of sevens guys on the roster. Last year we had Fossey and Appy, and they've come back. You're on the roster. I forgot who else I'm thinking of. I'm having a whirlwind of a day.
Eddie Fidau.
Eddie Fidau. So I think you're starting to see, as teams are building their rosters, they're actually not as thrown together as I would say they used to be in the first couple of seasons. Marty Veal and Rick Salizo and the Lizard really want. I think Rooney has one of the best mix of, I'll say it again, Northern Hemisphere, forwards and Southern Hemisphere backs. They play hard on the set pieces. They will kick for territory eventually, but as soon as the ball hits the back line, it's free flowing. It's not a lot of plays as much as a lot of more offloads and just finding the space. And I think in roster selection, you see that. Jesus Christ, I'm
that's all right. No, I know what you mean. It's everyone always battles between, and I mean, the Six Nations just started last weekend, so watching that, and you have kind of the Northern Hemisphere style where you just want to hit it up and box kick and play territory, and it's very strategic in everything you do. Compared to, whether you want to just have free flowing and play what you see, and if, have the ability to play with the ball, if certain gaps open up, just having that skill. And I mean, I'm not a coach, I'm a player. They tell me what to do and I do it. But I'm a big fan of playing with the ball and having the ball in my hand. And
look at that. We have a Georgia fan from Rooney.
There we go.
How funny is that? We talk about Georgia and we have a Georgia fan. So Doug, our buddy Dougie Coyle, Dougie Fresh, has a question. Does it help that the team has so many sevens athletes? I mean, it has to be an advantage that having so many sevens guys, you guys are known for quickness, you guys are known for your athleticism, and you're known for to run a lot, right? So that has to be an advantage for the entire team because they are going to be chased. The guys who don't play sevens are going to try and chase you, right?
Yeah, I am a strong believer that everyone, regardless if you're playing in the front row or all the way to the 15, you should play some sevens because it does a great job to help with your skills, your fitness, your speed, making open field tackles. I think that having sevens players will only boost the 15 side of the game just for fitness, speed and playmaking ability. So, I'd hope to see a couple more sevens crossover athletes. There've been a couple of us leaving the sevens in the Olympics to chase after our 15s goals. So it's nice to see, and hopefully there are more.
I mean, guys like Christian Dyer coming into the league now. He was at the sevens.
Leuda, Danny Barrett.
Trying to think.
Yosefo.
Mm-hmm. And you have a lot of collegiate guys who play sevens that honestly probably they look at, they're not there yet from the collegiate sevens, but in the US, but they are, the Eagles are looking at them. a lot of guys play sevens for Lindenwood
Yeah.
that I know that get really good looks. So I mean, you have the future there in sevens, but they're playing in the MLR full time now, and I think that just helps them. That drives them to play better rugby. And I think you're right as far as I think you can translate 15s into sevens by saying that is a 3-meter gap, and in sevens I would take that chance. Excuse me, in 15s I would take that chance. But maybe I should look for the offload, or maybe I should just go down and start a new phase because eventually we can get numbers. And I think it goes both ways. But my next question is, so we're gonna get into some of more of the questions.
Okay.
This is a hard one because again, you guys
Okay,
can't
I'm
say
here for it. I'm here for it.
you guys can't say his name, so I could barely say his name. Who has better hair, the new guy Gretzky or Charlie Hewitt?
It's got to be Gretzky. Got to be Johnny G. Has to be.
It's
The
long,
flow. I don't know.
yeah.
He needs a Pantene or a Head and Shoulders sponsorship. He needs something like that because it's immaculate.
It is him, Max Dacey. Charlie has that Southern Hemisphere mullety tight thing going on. I mean, it's like a hair.
I am
revolution.
impressed for as big of a head that Charlie Hewitt has to have a full head of hair is impressive. Yeah,
he does. Like he even says it himself, and he has a huge head. He's a tall. I don't think people realize how tall some of these locks are. Like Charlie is a legit 7-footer. Like when I played, our locks were like our tall locks were like 6'2". And then I look up at Charlie and I'm like, holy shit, can you feel the rain before I do? Because he's so tall. It's unbelievable.
He is. He's easy to pick out in a crowd, that's for sure.
His girlfriend will never lose him. That's for sure.
No, definitely not.
So I was going to say, sticking with the hair, do you think that, hair culture coming from hockey is going to, especially up in Canada, is going to inject its way into, maybe Canadian rugby? Maybe we see, some good, some hair out of some Canadian national players.
Well, I think so. If you look at the Arrows have a bunch of Canadian guys who, they love their mullets. And I forget whether it was the 2007 or 2011 World Cup where a bunch of guys on the team had beards, and
I think it was
fear
11.
the beard.
Yeah,
fear the beard was kind of the mantra. So yeah, I think so. I haven't played hockey in a long time, unfortunately, but once I lace them back up, I might have to grow the flow out.
That's what I'm saying, man. I got season tickets to the local minor league team, and all of a sudden, I got a hockey mullet. So, and Doug's right. Appy and Quinn with their weekly tape ups. It's one of those things.
Yep.
And Quinn especially. Growing up where I grew up in New York, like you were hitting the Fordham Road every day, every week, getting the tape up outside. They put the barber chairs outside in the summer and stuff. I think that's something that's right down Quinn's alley. I keep trying to get him up to the Bronx to get a haircut, but I know it's, quite a jog from Jersey City, but I think it's, they're definitely into their hair culture. I really like it.
We need to get someone on the team who knows how to cut some hair.
That's the thing. We got to find somebody. Any fans out there, I'll start passing the word. If you know how to do some nice fades and lineups, hit me up and I'll get you in touch with the guys.
Of course.
So speaking of Quinn, we've been talking about him a lot, but he's the man with the boombox. He's the guy who sets the music vibe for the outdoor practices. So, if you had the boombox, what is one song you would have to play during practice?
That's a tough one. What I've had the pleasure of being on Ox a couple of times, and what I find hits the most between across generations is some nice punk rock. You're looking at Blink 182, Killers, even throwing some Nickelback in there. People love to hate on Nickelback, but everyone's singing along. So definitely throwing some punk rock in there.
I feel like that's when Nickelback comes on, that's when you hear Dylan Fawcett start cursing a little more. I don't think he's a Nickelback fan.
I doubt. Is he a fan of anything?
Not really. Doesn't he likes ice cream every so often? I know that he likes ice cream every so often.
Okay.
Now, for the real hard question, this is my tough one I've given, I think, to every single player that's come on so far. High socks or low socks, and then plain cleats or flashy cleats.
Got to be low socks or mid calves. And we got to go with flashy cleats. We got to be flashy.
Like
you got to have some
fullback
style out there. Yeah, you gotta have some style out there. I'm not wearing black on black, and you know, no one can see my identity. I got to be out there. People yelling at me with the fancy line boots or whatever it is.
No, it's like a typical. Every fullback has to have some type of flashy boot, so that when the camera's on them and they're punting the ball long, you're like, oh, look at those boots, look at those colors. I mean,
it also helps my mom. My mom loves that I wear bright cleats so she can pick me out. Oh, that's Andrew out there. So
that's awesome.
I just do it for my mom. I'm just the mama's boy.
That's awesome. I love that answer. That's a great answer. Oh my gosh. Oh, so my next question, well, you know, we're having this nice conversation. You know, we talk about it a lot. The vibe of the team is the iron workers, the blue collar, you know, go in, it's get to work, you know, the lunch pail mentality. As a new guy to the team, like, have you bought into that? Are you understanding what they're trying to build there as far as a culture?
Yeah. I mean, right since day one, it's kind of been put into your bloodstream. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's living by it. You know, they know what's going on. We were fortunate enough to go up to the Ironworkers facility in Queens a couple weeks ago. And they told us about, you know, the culture that they have, and we want to bring that culture into our environment as well. So it's, you know, the best part about this team is that everyone's bought into it. And if you don't buy in, then you're probably going to get picked apart pretty quickly. So yeah, right since day one, it's been ingested into you.
That's good, and I think that's one of the things that brings a team together is buying into a culture, and I think we've seen it around every, you know, team in the MLR. You know, they all have their identity, and they get players who they know are going to buy in and understand what they're trying to do. And if getting it from day one is great because, you know, luckily Rooney had a bye week, so I always feel like that first week bye week kind of throws people off, in my opinion. That's just me. I mean, I know it does help because, you know, between weather and all the other stuff, you know, it gets people coming to, you know, to the States with all the visa issues and stuff. But I don't know. My point is, I think getting that synergy right away is the best thing. So. Andrew, you went on mute. There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I mean, we talked about this today. Everyone's coming from all over the world, literally. So we need to embrace each other's culture and also buy into the culture as a team together.
Now I got another style question for you.
Uh-oh.
So of the four Rooney jerseys that they've announced this year, you know, the home away, the legacy jersey, and the neighborhood jersey, which is your favorite?
I like the neighborhood jersey, but one thing that I really liked about last year was the jersey you got up behind you, Mike, the camo one. I think that cool one is probably one of the best ones that have been in the MLR across all teams, across all years. I mean, I don't know who I need to talk to, whether it's Butch or higher up, but we need to get that back.
Yeah, no, definitely. Those were great for Memorial Day, and the pinks. I did like the pinks for breast cancer awareness. You know, it always looks cool. I don't know, for some reason the pink, it just looks pops. But the camo, and they wore it a couple times. I think the players really liked it. But see, you were talking about not having black boots and black socks. See, I think if you're going with the neighborhood jersey as an actual jersey, you go black shorts, black socks, black boots. Go black and black, baby. Oh, here we go. Jazz. Hey, Jazz, since you're watching, is there any more of those camo kits? Andrew's looking for a
There we go.
Kit. Let us know, Jazz.
Looking for
Jazz runs the merch table at the matches. So
there
Jazz,
we go.
If you have any more in storage, send one.
Let me know. Let me know. And then, you are missing some red jerseys behind you. Maybe I'll send a Canadian rugby jersey out for you.
Listen, I'm
missing a maple leaf back there.
Well, I don't know about the maple leaf, but you know, I mean, listen, a very deep hockey tradition here as a Rangers fan. But no, I love Rugby Canada. The only days I don't like Rugby Canada is the days the Eagles are playing them. Other than that, me and Mike root for Rugby Canada all the time. So real quick, here's the last question, and then we'll talk about the upcoming match against Houston. Now, this is another controversial question, hard hitting.
Oh gosh.
This is like CNN worthy stuff. Oh, and Jazz says there's maybe 1 or 2 from last season left, so definitely hook you up. If you could pick another team's jersey you were going to purchase this season, who would it be in the MLR?
Purchase.
You're going to spend your money on it.
I don't know. I'm a big fan of the Dallas's kit. Dallas coming in, they're pretty flashy with the teal. So I might have to go with that one. What I really want to see MLR get to is where we can, do the NFL or NBA and trade jerseys after games, so that I start, really collecting all the jerseys from all the different teams. Probably not in the budget thus far, but I can't be giving away jerseys every game, but hopefully down the road.
I'm gonna agree with that. I'm totally gonna agree with that. As far as the swapping, as a matter of fact, in 2020 in the fall and season, I was helping the old equipment manager steam on the numbers for a preseason match because they were they were doing what it was 2020. They were doing what they were doing.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
fair enough.
I bought my season ticket and then I helped out with gear. It was fun. But we're going to talk about the first match of Rooney season. So we're away at Houston Sabercats, or as the fans have started calling them, the Zabercats with the capital Z and a capital A, with all the South African influence on the team. And they really beat the crap out of the LA Guiltinis, especially in set pieces. Now, here's the thing. I don't know if it was a lot of new fans coming in and not watching MLR matches last year, or just not realizing, because when Rooney beat them and when Nola beat the Guiltinis last year, they did the same things that Houston did. They beat them in the set piece. They made sure that they limited the touches Guiltinis had with the ball, and they didn't look to score all the time, but they looked for opportunities to score to beat them. And that's exactly what the Sabercats did in beating up the Guiltinis. So we're going into a tough Sabercat team. They're tough up front. I think we're tough up front. I think the difference is, I think our back line with these big 7 players, with a guy like Andrew Coe in the backfield with a big boot at fullback, is going to make the difference. I think we can catch them off guard by our counterattacks on the kicks. Obviously, I'm sure you guys have talked game plan stuff. Yesterday was Monday. I think that's when you guys do your meetings. Not asking for any specifics, but what do you think is Marty looking for you guys to do with this match?
Yeah, it'll be a good platform to see where we are and where we start, to see, hopefully we only go up and there's no games where we go down. It's a long season, but we analyzed that film pretty in depth, and Houston, I think, shocked everyone by taking down LA, but they did that exactly what you said, by beating them up front. A lot of box kicking. I think number one needs to be securing the ball, because watching that game, a box kick goes up and there's a ton of loose play off of that. So just securing the ball, holding on to it, and playing our style of rugby. We're not going to beat them by beating them up and getting into a bar fight, fist brawl with them. But stick true to who we are, and we should be all right. I'm pretty confident.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm confident going into it. I think the one thing that they do well, and this is something that Toronto did against us last year, was when you kick to them, their counterattack on it is they find a lot of gaps. And I think one of the issues that Rugby New York had last year was, for whatever reason, maybe they just weren't staying in their lane on that counter after the kick, and Toronto was picking apart those gaps. And I could see Houston doing that. Mike, do you agree with that, or am I off base with that?
Yeah, I was going to say, it took them a while to get, rocking and rolling. First half it was, 8-3 going LA's way with one try by a former Rooney player who shall not be named. But I think, Houston really got going in the second half. And so maybe they are a second half team that we got to worry about. That's, it takes them a while to, get up and get rolling. But I think, we match pretty well with them. They seem strong, they seem strong and tough, but I think we've got the speed and the flexibility to maneuver around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing, I mean, I haven't played at Aviva Stadium yet, but I feel like there's definitely a home field advantage because the wind looked a bit inconspicuous in there. It was pretty it was sketchy at times, to say the least.
Yeah.
So they got some home field advantage with that wind.
And one of the things that those Texas teams has an advantage on too, because they practice in the element, is that it'll be, and I mean, it's not going to be hot when you're there, but it's going to be warmer. But as soon as that sun goes down and it gets chilly, that ball gets wet. The condensation starts. And right in that beginning of that second half, you see a lot of teams when they're playing in Texas against the Texan teams, that's when they start to have handling errors. So I think that's something we have to be cognizant of. This is the part where me and Mike are going to make our predictions. Obviously, Andrew, you don't do that because that's just not cool. But me and Mike are going to talk about what we think is going to happen this weekend. Mike, what's your score prediction?
I'm usually, I'm the under over guy, and I'm usually the combined score over 50. I think I'm going to go combined score under 50 this weekend.
Interesting.
It's our first time out. So maybe our offense is a little slow to get started. I'm not, the same thing kind of happened last year against, San Diego. So, it's possible. It takes a little while to get started, but I think, we do match well against Houston, and I think we win, but it's going to be, I think, a low scoring game. It's going to be a defensive game.
I think so too. I think it's going to be, I'm going to say Rooney -3, and because Houston's at home, if it was at Rooney, I'd say probably -5, but Houston's at home. I'll say Rooney -3. I don't think there'll be any try bonus points though. I think you're going to see a lot of take the points on the kicks if you can in this particular match, because it's going to be a little slower, a little more methodical, in my opinion. Even though both teams can open it up, I think it's like a boxing match. The first 4 or 5 rounds, they're really going to feel each other out. I think that's going to carry through to the second half, and I think it's going to open up a little bit and almost be like how this first match was with the Giltinis and Houston. You're going to see a lot of stuff in the second half. But that's our predictions. We're going to wait. And as always, we do our pre-match show. That's when we get to see the match day 23, and then our predictions can change depending on who's in the lineup and stuff like that. So put an asterisk next to all that stuff. But anyway, we wanted to say thank you again to Andrew Coe for being on the show. We truly appreciate it. If there's any type of charity, you want to shout out your mom again, this is now the time to do so.
No, I'm excited for this season. This is obviously my first season in the MLR. I've been following it since the beginning. Being from Toronto, I kind of was biased towards the Arrows, so it'll be fun playing them when we do. But yeah, I'm very excited to get this season going and get it rolling with a bunch of good guys who have come to know.
Awesome. Thank you again so much, Andrew. Good luck this weekend. We're really hoping for a Rooney win. Obviously, we'll be cheering you on. Rooster Boosters, by the way, Rooney just made the announcement, the 2022 season captain, our buddy Nate Brakely, who was also the 2020 Rooster of the Year. Shout out to Nate. Congratulations on being named captain of the team. We know you'll wear that C with pride here. And it's a good line of captains we've had so far. So I'm proud to announce that. Anyway, everybody, we'll see you back again. We'll probably be on a half an hour before kickoff for a pre-match. Check us out here on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'm Scott, the Big Guy Farrar. That's Mike, the Grand Poobah Parazzini. And we'll catch you guys at the next one.